What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Pasty-T Garage. Today we're going to be working again on our 2004 Ford Focus, and what we're going to be doing is replacing a couple of interior trim pieces. Go ahead and get in here. So what we're going to want to replace is, as you can see right here, sorry, the light's a little dim, but we're missing this little clip for our Sunvisor, and the one over here is starting to break as well. What we're also going to do is take apart our dome light that's in the front, because the connector for the light itself doesn't light up all the way. As you can see, I'm having to actuate the button in order to make it turn on, so the contacts aren't connecting all the way, because it should be on all the way. But we're gonna remove this, and we're going to go ahead and try to repair the contacts that are on the inside, since all the electronics work and the light bulb works itself, and then we're going to be replacing these trim pieces. So please stay tuned for that. So the first thing we're going to do is replace the broken item. So as you can see right here, the item that we want to replace, broken in half. There's one part. Here's the other part. And these plastic pieces just get brittle over time. So we have our new piece, and this is the kind of the part number. I do have the gray interior. It's kind of hard to tell. I have the gray interior, so the last kind of lettering is going to be for your trim color. But we have a new piece right here. We also have the screw in there. As you can see, the new piece has these little feet that it clips in on, and it's also got this part that you would push down to kind of connect into the, to cover up the screw hole. So it's just a standard Phillips. So you can see the impression that's already in the headliner, so we would know exactly how to reinstall it. And it kind of holds in there because of the little tabs. We got our screw. Go ahead and insert it. And voila. Push the little tab closed. There we go. And that is a satisfying crunch when the Sunvisor goes into its place. So now we're going to go ahead and replace the other one. I'm going to loosen the screw. Take that out. Go ahead and remove our Sunvisor. Put that out of the way. So, as you can see, even this one that didn't break all the way, one of the feet's broken on the inside, but they just get brittle and they break. As you can see, the little covering for the screw hole is broken. So we're going to pull that foot out. I'll try to. There's a piece of tape that kind of gets it stuck in there to hold everything in place. So we've got our other new one here. Again, it just pops right into place because of those little feet that hold it. And then we're going to replace the screw. Doesn't need to be too tight. Pop the cover over. Satisfying. And that's that. That's done. So now our next step is to remove the dome light. And in order to do that, there's two tabs that are on either side, basically where you see the glass kind of make this transition. So we're going to kind of go in and pry against this plastic piece to pop those two. You can see the little feet right there. Now, I will say this, there's the caveat that if your plastic pieces are brittle, this piece is also going to be brittle. So prying to get this dome light popped out may in turn break the plastic trim surround, because mine broke, and so I had to replace that as well. But when you pull it out, you'll see it just pops out. It's got two connectors, and then on the back side, here's the little retaining clip that holds it in. You can't really get that while it's in, you'd have to pry up against this part. So I found it easier if you just pry against these 2 feet to come out. So we're going to remove these. They just pull straight off. Now the tab that we're looking to work on, let me see if I can get better light. As you can see, I'm actuating it from the side. There's a metal piece in here, kind of beyond this button, that is not making the contact. And when I pull it, that's what actually makes the contact on the back piece. So what I'm going to try to do, I'm going to remove this shield, and then I'm going to try to remove this piece. As you can see, it kind of pinches shut to remove the button retainer. And then I'm going to take that little metal tab that's back there, and I'm going to bend it so that it'll have a better contact point on the slide when it goes to the different positions. Okay, so now that we're at our workbench, what I'm going to first do is remove this shield. And as you can see, it has little legs that pop out of the glass. So we're going to pry slightly. You don't want to be too rough, because remember, the metal may flex, but the glass is not going to flex. So that kind of pops out like that. We're going to put that to the side. Now, you can see it's a little dirty. Obviously, this insulation is very old, so we're going to move that out of the way. We're also going to remove our bulb. So this would be a good tutorial how to change the bulb in your dome light, should that be blown or whatever. And I forget the exact bulb type, but I'll go ahead and link that bulb type in the description, and kind of an easy way to get that done. So what we're concerned with, again, is this little piece down here beyond this clip. So what I'm going to do is try to squeeze the clip together. I don't know how brittle it's going to be. Okay, so it's not too bad. So I'm going to get a pair of needle nose pliers, because I want to squeeze that together and get the spring off of it so that we can pull the button out. Okay, got me a pair of needle nose pliers. So again, I don't want to be too tough with this, because I don't know how brittle the plastic is. But we're going to squeeze it a little bit. We're going to try to push it out from the spring. This may take a little bit of finesse. Okay, got the spring over part of it. Okay, as you can see, when I release that clip, it does make it where it wants to fall out. We just kind of have to walk the spring out. There we go. Okay, so you can see that my spring is broken. This is an extremely old piece. Worst case, which we may end up having to do, is just replace this entire assembly. And if that's the case, that's fine. I mean, the car's, like I said, it's 2004. It's been in the sun a lot. So it's got a lot of sun exposure, which makes plastic pieces very brittle. And this isn't exactly a normal item of wear. So you can see, these are the contact points. 1, 2, 3. They look a little corroded, but they also look like they're a little smashed down. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to bend them up a little bit, so that way it has good sliding contact. And then I'm also going to clean this up right here. So I'm going to get a toothbrush, and I'm going to kind of clean that out. I could pry that out. As you can see, it kind of clips in here, here. But it looks like it's molded more into the glass than I anticipate, being able to free it from. And like we saw, the spring, it just kind of broke a little bit. I may be able to get that back in. The main part is having this top piece connect with the squeeze right here. So I'm going to go ahead and put this stuff to the side. And like I said, I'm going to clean up the corrosion on here, and I'm going to bend these tabs out a little bit. Let me go ahead and bend the tab a little bit right now. Hopefully it will comply. Okay. And like I said, worst case, we just have to replace the part, but I'm trying to avoid that right now. Okay, those look bent up a little bit. Because it does sit like this, and I was having to push it this way. in order to get it to make contact. So now I'm going to clean this up with some Scotch-Brite pad, and I'm going to go in there and clean that up with a toothbrush. Okay, so we have our Scotch-Brite. So I'm just going to kind of drag the edges that would normally have the contact. You can see they're already getting shiny. So that means we are eliminating any sort of corrosion that might be on those contact points. And then just for good measure, even though I don't believe this side is anything but to hold it in place. Alright, so now, maybe a little hard to tell. Try to put it, get these angles right. You may be able to tell, it's a little shinier on these two edge pieces. Now, I have a toothbrush that I use to clean various automotive parts. We're just going to kind of get in there to wriggle whatever stuff in there might be loose. Kind of blow it free. Just for good measure, I may try to just squeeze this in here a little bit. Like I said, the best tool would be to just remove it and clean it that way, but it might be good enough. The contacts were fine, it's just they weren't connecting. So now we're going to replace everything. So just in case you're wondering, this piece does not have an orientation. So you just kind of slip it in. And then we're going to replace this part on top. Make sure the two tabs that you cleaned are going towards, if I can get it on there, towards this way, towards the clip, the retainer clip. Press that on. Should be easier to reinstall. Use the screwdriver for a little assistance to get down there. Okay. Now that that's on, we'll get our first part of our broken spring. Push that on. And then the second part. The second part of the spring should give us more resistance because that is the piece that is having higher tension on that clip. So I'm going to get our buddy, drop our buddy, get our buddy the needle nose and just kind of use it to kind of guide it on. Alright, so I got part of the way. So now that the spring's all the way on, we have a satisfying click. Maybe I bent it a little too much because now it doesn't want to go between the settings. Yes, I may have bent that foot a little bit too much. So what I might try to do, okay. We'll test that. Seems like it's making better contact. I'm going to reinstall our dome light. And before I put everything back in, I'm going to want to test it. So, light is a little tricky. Kind of got to pull up on these metal pieces. It snaps in. So before I install this, I'm going to go ahead and connect it, test it with my door, see if everything's working. If not, we'll go back to the drawing board and try to get it to contact again. We're back in the car. Reinstall the big connector first, and little connector. Whatever I did, it doesn't work now. So, as you can see, we made the repair, or an attempt at the repair, and now it's even worse. As you can see, the light bulb still works, but my contacts aren't making any progress, so we're going to leave it in off position. I'm going to go ahead and reinstall it. I'm going to get the heat shield, reinstall that, and then we will put this back into its home, and then I'm just going to order a new piece. Yeah, I'm not satisfied with that repair, so I'm going to go ahead and just say I need to get a new one. So let's unplug this. Alright, so what I like to do before I replace any part is I go ahead and take a picture of the connectors, and then I take a picture of any information that I can find. So you can see right there, it's kind of a little difficult to see. Let me get my light. So it's got a stamping on the metal that says the part number. So I use any of that information in order to get whatever part description I can on the internet, because there are various levels of difficulty when it comes to finding the exact part. So I just want to make sure I have the exact part. But for the time being now, I'm going to go ahead and just reinstall the dome light. I'm going to take our heat shield. And remember, heat shield had a certain orientation that it went. So the little feet, I'm going to do this outside the car. So the little feet go into these holes there, and then the top feet, you press in a little bit and they clip. So that heat shield is installed. Okay, so now we'll reconnect our connectors. And then remember, this clip, this metal prong, goes on the back. So you're going to want to slide these feet in a little bit first. They're going to kind of pop. And then you can fully press the dome light all the way into its home. A little unfortunate we didn't fix it, but as you can see, it kind of half works, but the door itself doesn't actuate it to turn off, which is the whole purpose of the dome light. You want it to turn on when you open the door. I'm still not confident that it's going to turn off all the time, and I don't want it to drain my battery when I shut the door and the light's on. So what I'm going to do is just leave it in the off position. That way I'm not worried about it, but when I want the light, I can just turn it on. You see, I'm still having to pull it, so we're going to go ahead and order a new one. So that's going to do it for me today, guys. I hope you all enjoyed this episode of Pasty-T Garage. Today we showed you how to replace the Sunvisor clips that hold them into place, and we also showed you how to replace the dome light bulb. And in my case, I tried to fix the contacts of the dome light itself because, as you could tell, it doesn't always actuate the way that it's supposed to. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just replace that entire piece so that I can get a new spring, a new little clip on the inside that will contact the points, and then that way I know everything's good, and I won't have to worry about, is my car battery going to die because my dome light decides that it wants to stay on when it should turn off. So thanks everybody. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them below. Drop a like on the video if you enjoyed it. If you're new to this channel, I appreciate you hanging out, and I would also appreciate if you consider hitting that subscribe button so we can go on our car journey together. That's going to do it for me. So thanks everybody, and we'll see you in the next video.